There's a story told of a gypsy family during World War II who were part of a traveling circus in Poland. During one of their acts, the teenage daughter would jump from a high wire with no net below, and her father would catch her. One morning, the father had gone out early, and the young girl was all alone in the apartment building where they were staying. A stranger came to the apartment door and said that he had a message for the little girl from her father. The message was that the Nazis had come into town and they had to escape, the father and daughter, but it was too dangerous for the father to return by daylight. But that night at 2 a.m, he would stand at the northwest corner of the apartment building. His daughter was to jump, and he promised to be there to catch her so that they could escape. The young girl, needless to say, was confused. She didn't know the messenger, first of all, and she wasn't sure these were the actual words of her father. She wasn't even sure which was the northwest corner of the building. But as the day went on, her father did not return, and she began to hear news that the Nazis had indeed come into town. Having only the word of her father's promise, she went to what she hoped was the northwest corner of the building at the exact time she was told, and she whispered into the darkness, "Father, are you there?" There was no answer. She jumped, and he caught her. This story, it speaks of a trust so strong and complete that it's almost too hard to believe. The young girl knew from experience that her father was faithful to his promise. He was always there to catch her. Now, in this life and death moment, she had to trust him even more beyond what she knew. Which leads me to ask, what does it mean to trust in God? It is a confident expectation that no matter what happens, God will be there. God is there for you. And for me, I look to the Mother of God because her trust in God was incredible. Her whole life was rooted in this confident expectation that no matter what, God would be there. St. Alphonsus, in his Glories of Mary, beautifully describes the tremendous demands that were made on Mary's faith. He writes, "The Most Holy Virgin had more faith than all men and angels. She saw her son in the crib at Bethlehem and believed him to be the creator of the world. She saw him fly from Herod and yet believed him to be the King of Kings. She saw him born and believed him eternal. She saw him poor and in need of food and believed him to be the Lord of the universe. She saw him lying on straw and believed him omnipotent. She observed that he did not speak, and she believed him infinite wisdom. She heard him cry and believed him the joy of paradise. In conclusion, she saw him in death, despised and crucified. And although faith wavered in many others, Mary remained firm in the belief that he was God. Blessed is she who has believed, because the things promised to her by the Lord shall be accomplished." Frequently, I meet people who doubt that God is with them, and they find it hard to believe that if they let go, God will be there to catch them. There are those people who lose their jobs and are struggling over a decision to stay with a job that has proven to be very dissatisfying. Or a friend or parent has grown ill, or a relationship has ended. Even some devout people begin to doubt that the presence of God is in their lives. And what I find is usually all it takes for them to regain their trust is to ask them a simple question. Hasn't God been with you in the past? And often when they think about it for a while, they say something like, you know, now that you mention it, each time I thought I couldn't go on, I found that something or someone helped me to do so. I really felt God was right there with me. More often than not, God is more easily found by simply looking back over your life or your week or your day and saying, yes, there was God. And I forgot. There was God. And oh yes, there was God. Finding God is more often a matter of simply being aware or simply remembering. Gabriel, the angel, in essence, said the same thing to Mary at the Annunciation. Look at what God has already done, and look at what God is doing. Just look at your cousin Elizabeth. Nothing is impossible with God. There are so many petitions people bring to Mary, our Mother of Perpetual Help. I think that perhaps the most important request that we could make is that she help us to find or to be given the gift of trust, the treasure of faith, that through her we can see Jesus in everything and everywhere. O Mother of Perpetual Help, increase our faith. O Mary, model of faith, pray for us.